Hey, it's Justin Barry at the Plains Paris real estate team right here in Kansas City. Today, I'm going to go over some of the top mistakes that I've seen buyers make buying homes in my career. Now, these are the types of mistakes that are easy to overlook, but they have enormous impact on buyer affordability. So it can make your mortgage cost more, on actual cost to close, how much money you have to bring to the table in order to actually buy the house, and whether or not you can buy the house that you set out originally to buy at all. Let's break right into them. Number one is getting pre-approved. A lot of people are going to tell you it's important to get pre-approved, but let me tell you what it does for you if you get pre-approved earlier than later. You get pre-approved early, you can actually be pre-underwritten. We use the word pre-approval liberally, but it's actually not used correctly 99% of the time. See, when you first sit down and talk to a lender, they're going to have you fill out an application. On that application, they're going to look at what you claim you make, what you claim you owe, your debts, your income, so forth, and they're going to compare that against your credit. But they're going to take your word on it for the most part outside of that credit. They're going to give you a piece of paper, and that's going to say you're pre-qualified, saying, providing everything that you provided is true, you'll likely be able to get a loan. Now, if you go through the entire underwriting process where you have to actually prove all those things, you are now pre-approved. So if you can get in early, say a month or two before you're actually ready to write an offer, you now will have a pre-approval, which will only require an address to close. Now that looks a lot better to a seller when you're up against other offers, especially if you're waiting out for a great house because other people are waiting out for that great house too. This is going to really give you the opportunity to buy that property almost as good as cash, okay? The second thing that I find to be an enormous mistake that buyers make on a regular basis is they buy a house for their needs right now without assuming they're gonna have different needs in the future. It's like buying shoes for a 5-year-old that are snug, and then you're surprised, 6 months later when those shoes no longer fit. We really wanna buy a house. Doesn't have to be too much bigger, but it's a little bit bigger than your current needs if you're still in growth mode in your life, and most of our clients are. It's amazing how many people have said, we're never having kids, we're never doing this is gonna be that, and they've got their whole life planned out, and then one thing in their life changes, and they've got to move to a larger house because that's what life does. Life doesn't always follow our plans, and life does change. I could sell another house to you, that's fine with me. I'd rather get you the right house for your needs the first time and keep you happy and in a better position to buy your dream house again later. All right, now the third thing that I see all the time is buyers being too emotional in their buying process. So we got to respect the fact that your house is your home. This is where you're gonna be making memories, and it's very important we get the right house. But there's a couple caveats to that. Number one, there is always going to be another home. I've done this for many years. I've been appraising thousands of homes. I've been in tons and tons and tons of homes, and there's always another one like it. So often whenever we find that dream house and it doesn't work out, we could have been a day too late or whatever it is that happens, and the buyer's fatigued and they feel hopeless. Often they want to take a 6-month break or a 12-month break, and we're going to revisit this, re-sign the lease, and do this all over again. It's frustrating from my perspective, being that I've seen so many of the same homes over and over and over. And right now, with limited inventory like we have, it might just be that we need a couple more weeks. Or if you let us go find houses for you off market, we just need 2 or 3 weeks to get those letters out, to let them permeate, let some couples have some conversations about their property, reach back out to us. We're often able to find that house, providing we can keep our buyer from being too emotional. Now, once we go under contract and we go into the negotiation process, we have a whole new set of emotions. Often it's, remorse. Did we buy the right house? We do this all the time. So we're gonna be able to tell you whether this house is a good house or not. We will never push somebody into a house that is not the right fit for them. And we're going to be there and be your guide through it. But there's going to be things that come up. All of a sudden, we're going to find out that this perfect house isn't so perfect. That's what inspections are good at. There is no such thing as a perfect house. I don't care if it's a brand new house, it's 100 years old. An inspector will find something wrong with every house. Our job is to make sure that you understand what the risks and the rewards are, and we're going to make sure that you have a complete understanding of the house that you're buying. But don't let these facts that will happen, I 100% guarantee you they will happen, don't let these steer you away from the right house for you. I've seen it too many times where somebody gets upset, they get nervous, a father gets involved and says, you can do better. Of course, we've looked at the market and looked at 30 houses. This is the best offer we could get, the best property we could get. We've had to go back out into the market and start the whole process over just to really find the same property again. If you're looking at a 30-year-old home, there are going to be certain things that are just common to 30-year-old homes that an inspector is going to call out. And again, there are things on brand new homes that inspectors catch every day. And it's incredibly important to understand that all homes are human-made. All homes are setting on soil that's still kind of moving. And there will always be a problem with every home that you buy. No matter what, I will never promise you'll have a perfect home. It will never happen. So just let us help guide you through that and keep your emotions in check so that way you're able to make smart moves and not really emotional moves. Now, another one, piggybacking on emotion, is that a lot of buyers, they buy a house for today and they don't really buy it with the end in mind, meaning that they're not thinking about its resale value. They're not thinking about an exit strategy. An exit strategy is the word that I use when I'm talking to our investor clients, but I think it's fair to use that with anybody because their property is an investment, often one of their largest investments. When we think about properties, we can't just look at where they sit in the market right now. So for example, a property that sits on a busy highway that's got a lot of road noise might not be a big deal when there's not a lot of inventory to choose from. I remember not too long ago when there were 30 choices on the market every weekend for a buyer, and the last one they wanted was the one with a bunch of road noise, or the one with the driveway slanting in, or the one with the water problems. It's easily avoidable, but it takes a little bit of emotional control and having a little bitty bit of patience. So it wasn't that long ago, again, when it took us 6 months to find a house for a buyer that they were finally satisfied with. They had plenty of choices, but they were incredibly picky. And it wasn't that long ago when it took 6 months to sell a house. So we're still coming out of like a 2-day market. And that's hard for a lot of people to wrap their head around. But again, it used to take a lot longer to buy and sell homes. There's no reason that it shouldn't take you 2 or 3 months to find the right house for you. Just got to be patient and make sure that we're buying with the end in mind. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that buyers make is that they pick the wrong real estate agent. I think when buyers first start their journey, they're not looking for a real estate agent. They are looking for a home. And they're on the way to buy a home and a real estate agent pops up and says, hey, slow down, you need a speed bump. And I am the best speed bump that you can get. And the buyers don't spend any time really investigating what speed bump they're getting, the guy that's in between them and getting their house. And it's easy to make the wrong mistake. I mean, we all look the same, we dress the same, and we by and large say the same things. So how would you know who the right agent is for you? Now, if I were hiring a real estate agent, and I do this regularly for my clients, if I have a client moving to another state, I will regularly reach out and I'm going to ask questions to find out these 3 things. Number 1, are they competent? Have they been in the business long enough to understand what they're doing? Again, it's really easy to get a real estate license. But once you're in this business, you start recognizing there's lots of different qualities and competencies between the different real estate agents. So to me, it's really important that we're talking to a competent agent who's running a real business, not a part-timer, not a hobbyist, somebody who does this for a living, and this is their entire bread and butter, okay? The second thing, I'm looking for experience. How often are they in the market? There's people that were busier 20 years ago and they're not that busy now. They don't have much frequency in the market. And I've seen a lot of mistakes made by people that assume the market's the same way it was 5 years ago as it is today, or even 3 months ago as it is today. The markets move every day. You need somebody with a ton of frequency. So I'd be looking for somebody in a normal market, let's say, in our market, a $400,000 market, let's just say up to $1 million, I would want to see an agent that works primarily in those price points, doing at least 25 to 30 deals a year. And they've got at least 50 or 75 transactions under their belt the last 3 years. Then I would want to know how they built their business. Did they build their business on Zillow leads where it's just turn and burn, numbers, or did they build their business on word of mouth and relationships? Because there's a huge difference in the experience that I can expect my client to get if that agent is actually concerned about continuing the relationship even after the sale is closed. You see, for a lot of us real estate agents, referrals are our biggest moneymaker. If I do a great job for you and you share me with somebody else and they share me with somebody else and they share me with somebody else, eventually I don't have to spend all of my time hunting every day, looking for leads to call, putting, mailers in your mailbox. I can just focus on doing my job. The agents that have to spend all their time hunting every day, they don't actually have the capacity often to do the job at the same level as somebody who does not have to worry about where their next meal is coming from. So that's, again, something you wouldn't know probably from the outside, but from the inside, that's how I look for real estate agents. All of us real estate agents are good-looking, charming individuals. I would encourage that you look further than that and hold them to an accountability that you would expect from a professional that you're paying so much money to. Now, those again are just some of the major highlights. There's lots of mistakes that buyers can make in the transaction. If you could focus on those things and you get the right agent, most of it can be avoided or at least mitigated so that you don't actually experience the bad outcomes of not being prepared. Again, that's why you hire a real estate agent, because we've been through these things so many times and we can foresee what might be coming that you might not be able to see. The last thing that you're going to want is an agent who is learning with you. Again, I'm Justin Barry at the Plains Paris Real Estate Team right here in Kansas City. And if you are even thinking about making a move in the Kansas City area, we would love to interview for that position and become your agent for life. Now, our agents are all full-time. We are professionals, and I hold them to a very high standard. I think you'll be very pleased with the outcome of working with us. And again, I'd love to interview for that position.